Okay, so I've had my my grizzly now about since first week of May. I've got just over 600, about 650 kilometers on it right now. So it's time to do a little talk about it. I'm not going to do a review. I mean, everybody knows all this stuff and the stats, so I'm not going to bore everybody with that. I'm just going to tell you why I bought a grizzly. And well, first of all, like I really like the grizzlies. I've had this is my third one. I had a 2014 SE in the Tactical Black. That was just a great bike. And then I had a 2016 EPS in the forest green, which again was another great machine. And you know, I didn't need to get rid of them. I just, you know, I didn't need to buy this. I just wanted to buy this, so that's why I got it. I mean, the other ones I probably could still have my 2014. I'm sure I could. I mean, I don't put a lot of kilometers on every year. I put maybe between 1,000 and 1,500 kilometers on, so I don't do high mileage on them. I don't think I've ever done more than 1,800 kilometers in 1 year. So anyway, this is a 2021 Yamaha Grizzly 700. It's the SE one. So they call it Tactical Black. Well, first of all, it's not black, it's gray. And it's not tactical because it's like a metallic thing. It's not that flat black. So I don't know where the tactical from. That's what I've heard people call it. I don't know if it's actually called that or not. Who cares? So, I mean, the difference is with my other Grizzlies. I mean, it's obvious it's got the 27-inch tires on it all the way around. The other one had the 26s. And I put Zillas on both of them, 26-inch Zillas. So this is the first quad I've ever had, actually, that's had 27-inch tires, and it's got 27-inch in all four corners. So that's a big difference between the other ones. And, you know, as far as it looks, it's basically the same look as all the other ones. You know, since the 2016, the body hasn't changed, really. It's all got the same storage boxes. Everybody knows where all that stuff is, so none of that. For myself, I don't care for the light up on top. I don't do any driving at night. I've never driven a quad at night, so I could care less about that top light. In fact, I kind of wish it wasn't there. And I can't understand why they didn't make that an LED to match the other, the main headlights. But anyway, no big deal. So there's that. You know, same storage at back. And that's not waterproof at all. It's I keep my toe strap in there. Don't put anything in there that you want to keep dry, because it won't be. It's just mud and dirt and dust and everything will get in there. No problem at all. So, I mean, I didn't know how this was going to ride or anything. So comparing it to my last two Grizzlies, the first thing I noticed immediately, I mean within the first 10 feet, as soon as I started riding it, was it's a much stiffer ride than the other two Grizzlies I've had. I'm not sure if that's because of the tires and because of they're all 27-inch Zillas, and they're all the same width. They're all 20, you know, they're all the 10 inches wide. I don't know if that's why they're stiff, but I mean, I noticed that immediately, like as soon as I started driving it, that it was stiff. And it's still at the factory setting. For the preloads on the shocks, they're just one up from the most soft setting. So I mean, it's no problem at all for me. I mean, it doesn't bother me. I could care less. I stand 95% of the time anyway. The only time I sit is if I'm on a hard packed dirt road. As soon as I get into any forest, any rough stuff, I'm standing. So my shock absorbers are my legs anyway. I could care less about getting these expensive high-end shocks for quads. I mean, I think it's ridiculous just to use the stock ones. Somebody, I don't know if I don't think it's a gun. It sounds more like a bear banger over there. But at that campsite, that's the second shot they fired. I don't know why they're firing it. If they've got a bear, or I wouldn't doubt it. It might be a bear. I mean, it's not a rifle that's going off. That's a bear banger. So they must have a bear over there. I've done that before. I've fired bear bangers at bears before. They're effective. So anyway, that's what I noticed immediately about it. And obviously, the other thing I noticed immediately about it was it's higher. It's significant. Feel even though it's only 1 inch higher than my other Grizzlies. They were 26-inch tires. This one has 27s. It feels significantly higher and taller than my other ones. So that's the that's the only two things I really noticed. I mean, the power feels exactly the same to me as the other ones. Power isn't, I could care less how fast this thing goes. I mean, I haven't topped it out yet. I haven't been in a place where I could check the top speed, and I could care less. I'm sure it'll do 100, 105 kilometers an hour, and that's fine by me. I mean, I'm just doing what I do. I go creeping through the woods on slow trails, and yeah, I like to get out on a fire road once in a while and give it a shot. But speed is not what I'm looking at. I'm looking at reliability. I love the looks of it, and one of the huge factors for me for a Grizzly is the range. These things, this one, I don't know if it's a typo in the owner's manual, but it says it has a 22-liter tank. I mean, the other ones, I'm sure it was 18 liter. So I mean, they found 4 more liters somewhere. I don't know if that's a typo or not, or I don't know if that's the reserve part, or I don't know how that works. But these things, my other two, I never ran them up to where they were just run on fumes, but I'm sure they could have got to 160 plus kilometers on a tank of fuel. And this one is doing no difference, because when I fill it, I go out on a trip with it, and I fill it when I come back, and then I just do the math to figure out how many liters per kilometers I used, and then I multiply it, and I figured out that this quad's going to get about 160 plus kilometers out of a full tank of fuel. So that's like phenomenal. I don't know if there's any other quad that does that. So that brings me around to something else. I mean, last fall when I sold this, I was really close to buying a King quad. I love the King quads. I love the way they look. It's very, very similar to a Yamaha Grizzly. They're the same bike, same quad almost, pretty much. But there is a couple of significant things for me that I don't like about the King quads. And the first one, I've never even driven a King quad. I have sat on a few of them. And the first thing that I noticed, what I was mentioned before about me standing all the time, the footwells on a King quad are really deep. Here on the Grizzly, it's just raised by that little thing you put your foot on is just raised, but then it's flat. But on a King quad, these things are deep. There's deep wells. So that means when you're standing, your foot is like that, and you feel like you're standing on the rung of a ladder. And there's just no way. Even standing on it for 30 seconds in the showroom floor, I mean, my foot got sore. And so, it's just like standing on a rung of a ladder. So that would be uncomfortable for me. So that's a significant factor for me why I didn't buy a King, because I could have had a King quad last fall at the dealership in Renfrew. He had 2 of them, 2 2021s, brand new, sitting there. And I talked to him, and the price was good and all that. It was basically the same price as these, and it was the SE models. One thing, something else, the King quads, even the top end models still come with those crappy, I think they're 25-inch tires, Dunlop crappy tires. I mean, you have to put, you're going to spend another $700 or $800 on tires right off the showroom floor on it, and that's on their top line model. So that was a turnoff. And the other thing that I don't like about the King quads is under the seat. On a Grizzly, look there's nothing there. There's your air cleaner. There's no electronics or anything. Fuel tank. And there's no electronics there. Everything on the Grizzly is up here. All the battery and all the wiring and all that stuff. On a King quad, that's all your electrics. Your battery and everything is there. All your wires, all your connections and all that. That's fine. And they're probably bulletproof anyway. But I don't like when I come home from a ride and all that's muddy and covered in dirt in there, and you got to get in there with a towel and just, I don't want it to just sit there in mud, and I think it would eventually corrode the wires, because my brute force was like that. The brute force is the same way. It takes off the seat and everything is exposed, and after a ride, it's all muddy and water and sand and grit and stuff in there, and I don't like that. So that's a significant reason too. They're probably nobody's ever had problems with them. I realize they're all marine connections, but still, for me, I like the way the Grizzlies are designed. Nice, easy access to the air filter. Okay, and the other thing that swayed me was the range. I think a King Quad doesn't have the same range as this. I mean, I think the fuel tank is 16 liters on a King Quad. I could be wrong on it. I'm not sure, but it's definitely 5 or 6 liters less than a Grizzly. So it's not going to have the same range. So anyway, that's my little talk about my Grizzly. Oh, and finally, I mean, I've owned Grizzlies. I got a good relationship with my dealer up in Petawawa. So he always gives me good deals and aftermarket stuff. So, you know, no problem there. I do own a Kawasaki motorcycle, a KLR 650, that I take to Renfrew, and he's also the Suzuki dealer over there. He has Kawasaki's and Suzuki's. Excellent dealership, but no, for ATVs, I'm sticking with the Grizzly. And that's the end of my story on my Grizzly.